started the film company together. He passed away in 2009. And doing this film and completing it was almost like my therapy. You know, not only did I dedicate, you know, the rest of my, you know, fulfilling the dream to him, but I also dedicated this particular film because this was the last one that we started together. You know, and anybody that knows me personally knows that I still talk about Tyrell like every day. You know, because of all the memories we've had, and just so that this is just a taste of seeing how the family is. You know, that people always talk about the memories, and they talk about, man, remember when this, and that. So it was such a fun experience to make this film, and it's so cool to just see that people care about it. You know, and even in the sense of people who are born and raised or lived in Long Island, as many people that knew about the Uniondale High School band program, there were still so many people who had no idea. So, and this is introducing to them what was right in our home. You know, and I'm an advocate of Long Island is just as special as anywhere else on the earth. I mean, not only is New York the sexiest place to live, period, but Long Island is just as important and just as special, and we have just as artistic children, talented, you know, and I'm proud that I am part of that army that's letting people know that, you know, there's something special going on out in Long Island and for kids of color. So it's really important to me. I want to thank Hofstra. Thank you so much. I'm doing a sequel to my documentary on Long Island called My Block Strong Island. And we're talking about how blacks got to Long Island in the first place, how the migration actually happened and stuff, and what's going on since we got here and even now today, and the differences between us and the boroughs and stuff like that. But that's the next sequel that I'm actually working on.
How old are you?
I'm 26. Depends on if you have an older daughter or something.
How long did it take you to?
Oh man.
Repeat the question.
Oh, how long did it take me to edit?
A lot of great editing.
Yeah, well, first of all, we filmed for, well, I mean, let's be clear. I was only supposed to make a promotional video in the beginning. Literally, I was a Red Lobster manager for 4 years. And an old friend of mine texted me and said, hey, Uniondale is going to be at the Battle of the Bands today. And I was like, oh man, I was off from work. And I called Mr. Abel and said, hey, would it be okay if I could film? Because at that time, we didn't even know, Tyrell and I, what our next project was going to be. So it was just to make a promotional video. And when we made it, it got so much attention online that we all sat down and was like, hey, we actually got to do a full project out of this. So it was supposed to be just that school year. And then Mr. Abel said he was actually, he always says he's retiring. But he actually meant it this time, and he said he was retiring the following year. So I stayed with them all the way till the next year to make sure I captured everything. And it took, I would say, oh man, maybe like 6 or 7 months to edit, and maybe a year to get the soundtrack done. Wow. You know, but but that's the story for any independent artist. You know, because you go through so many, you know, for the first thing that happens, you run out of money. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, after you do it, you know, as you're growing, that first, that second, that third, then that 20th cut just keeps getting worse and worse, you know, and then you're like, oh, I got to keep, you know, do this. But it took a year and a half at least to get it ready to go.
Band members have gone on to do marching band in college or do music after they graduate.
Well, the first cool thing was the promotional video. I can't remember the name, you might, but we made the first promotional video, and the young lady that was spinning the cymbals, she actually got a scholarship to school down south just because of that video. But in terms of how many students went on to pursue music, I have no idea. But I do know that in one of my classmates, his name is Nigel Ennis, he's actually standing back there, the smooth guy with the tenor saxophone. He's a very talented musician. He stayed up with it, you know, and there's a few of us that have stayed at least in the arts, but everybody in terms of just music period, you know, it's almost like, I would probably say it's like high school football, that, you know, after that last game or that last performance, that's usually it. That's why the memories are so big for us.
A lot has gone on to teach it. There have been There've been to my knowledge, there have been more going into teaching than into actual music. And what he says is true, that the comrade, the family bond, once they leave the high school, they kind of don't get it where they're going, so they do other things. The common thread you see that they came to school for the band, that bothers me, but when I was teaching, I made sure they went through all the other classes also, because they did cut a lot to hang out in the band room. But they would look up and I would be sitting in the back of their history class, waiting for them to come in the door. So the fact, Tatiana, hi, Grace. But to answer your question, quite a few have gone to music, but I would say my biggest accomplishment that quite a few went on to teach. And even, I was telling Jordan the other day, some students from when I taught junior high school in Central Islip in 67, 68, I have people who have contacted me. This Facebook is something else, ain't it? You gotta make sure your laundry's clean, because Facebook is something else. But I've had students who, I didn't do band then. And in fact, I never wanted to teach. So forget band in high school, I didn't want to do it, but I was teaching chorus in Central Islip. And I have students, they're grown now in families, and they contact me, and how I influenced one to be a musician, and one to be a teacher, and to be an administrator, and one's an assistant principal. So I think that would be more of my flag waving.
You were there with me. Yes, Tatiana. So I remember Jordan when he was there. So just to piggyback on the whole thing about, you know, us graduating from Uniondale's bands and going on to other things. I graduated in 2003, so the previous year Drumline had come out, right? And so me being the band head that I was, I got my acceptance letter from A&T, and I went up to Mr. Abel and I was like, I don't know how I feel about their band. Forget about their major, forget about their chemistry department. Is their band good? Because if their band is no good, I'm not going there. So he was like, oh, they have a nice little band. So I went there, and so many of the connections that he made, I ran into. Actually, my first college boyfriend went to Mount Vernon High School, and we had an argument about whose Mr. Abel really was. I went to the Battle of the Bands in Daytona Beach, and I ran into people. All of my classmates went to FAMU or other, you know, HBCUs where they had this marching style, and I had never seen it before. And there are just so many, like the discipline and everything that I learned from being in that band has carried through to my ability to learn languages, my ability to travel, everything. Everything. The backbone that I have, I owe to him. And I think a lot of us can say that.
That's so true. I think, you know, it's, because like you said, we wanted to cut class all day long. You know, and because we fell such in love with music that it was like, oh man, this is all we want to do, you know. But it really is you know, a testament to how good of a teacher Mr. Abel was. That, you know, because some people are selfish. They'll be like, oh man, just love my period, just come here, come after school, whatever. But he made sure that, you know, we absolutely went to class. And sometimes, I mean, I remember times that we would be hiding. And he would come in and find us and be like, if y'all don't go to class, it's going to be a problem. And the big thing was, you didn't want him to tell you that you couldn't play in the band anymore. You know, and it's almost like a sport where, you know, if you get injured or something, they tell you can't play. I mean, that was a big deal. Man, I can't play no more. I can't go on the trip. This is crazy. So, you know, that's even more of a testament to just his teaching.
I have a quick story. So Jordan and I were in the auditorium.
I can't be putting the business out there.
Right, and we were cutting class. You know, we would just cut and go play. And we were playing, and we heard the shoes. And we was like, oh. So we ran, and we were actually, if these were the seats in the old auditorium, I was laying this way, and Jordan was laying that way. and we're facing each other, and he was like, Jordan asked me, "You think he knows we're in here?" I said, "Hell yeah, he knows we're in here." What you mean? Of course he knows we're in here. But more importantly than the learning and all that stuff, I think the love and the human connection is the most important thing that we got from Mr. Abel. He taught us how to be people. And I think though that's the most valuable lesson that you can learn from school, because, you know, whatever you go on to do, you don't always remember the information that you learned in the classroom, but you always remember the people that helped you become a better human being. And that's what he did. And we have friendships and relationships and all that stuff that stem from that.
All over. Throughout, yeah, I'll let you answer this.
I had a different take on competition, and you know you shouldn't give me a microphone like that. I just had spinal surgery, so I told him I was going to make sure I came tonight. My lovely wife made sure I came. To answer your question, though, I learned early on in the competition circuit that they weren't fair. As soon as we, African-American bands, African-American groups, got off the bus, we were already judged. And not to say it was bad, because a lot of things happen to you bad may come out good. So I developed connections with organizations who did performance festivals, and you actually competed against yourself. So if there were other bands playing the same song, all 5 bands could be rated superior, instead of this band first, this band second, this band, because I've had some disastrous experiences early in my career taking the African-American marching bands and concert bands into that environment. And I saw kids destroyed where I know we had the best performance. I'll never forget that. I hope I'm answering your question. Competitions always bothered me, and I wanted festivals. And when I was in Mount Vernon in 1983, 84, we went to Richmond, Virginia. And we were the only African-American concert band, marching band, and jazz band. So I knew we weren't going to win the marching band, because the style was totally different. But the concert band, we blew them out of the water. Even the band that won first and second, they came and gave our kids the trophy. Said, "You guys deserve this because you were much better. But the thing that got me was doing the jazz part. We played, smoked the house out. And I'm old school, so we had the spats and we had the matching ties. And we walked in smooth with the glasses, took the glasses off. So auditorium gave us a standing ovation. So the judge comes up. "Well, you know, I don't really think that was good. You reminded me of Count Basie." So my kids looked at me and he said, and you were swinging too hard like Maynard Ferguson. And then that blues song reminded me of the early Miles. So I don't know if that's really a good representation of jazz. So that was my last competition. But I still managed to work with the kids, and we traveled all over the country. Montreal, Quebec, Cleveland, Virginia Beach, Annapolis, New Orleans, we were all over. And the festival circuit embraces children more than divide kind of thing. I hope I answered you. But I had a big problem with that competition thing, and then, you know, like the girls from the other bands, when they win, they'd scream, and my kids were looking, they didn't do a damn thing, Mr. A. But we maintained our discipline. We didn't respond in a negative manner, but so I took us out of the competition. I hope I answered it. Yeah.
How did he get the bands to be so disciplined?
It's sometimes I look at that and I say, is that really me? You know, did I really say that? Like half that stuff, concepts and all that stuff, I don't even know it. And you're not superior. Well, who talks like that? I think though, with the Mount Vernon clip, was that the system of discipline provided immediate results. So when you come into a program, fresh out of a program, most of the programs that I were involved in were on the down. When I went to Wine Dance, it was, the band was a joke of Long Island. When I went to Mount Vernon, they had a tremendous program, but the high school band, the middle school band smoked the high school band, so they were a joke in the community. So it was kind of easy to come in. Uniondale band program was still good, but the director wanted out. He couldn't control the kids. You can't make 100 people do anything. You have to show them and convince them to do it themselves. So I think, I'm not saying I wasn't, I'm not saying I wasn't forceful in the beginning. The first week or so is my house. And when you come in my house, you have to act this way. Once you get the first month or two in the belt, the kids do it themselves. They actually teach each other. And then especially if you got a senior class that first year, that senior class starts teaching others, you can actually stay in your office, which after 4 or 5 years in place, I kind of did that, you know. But it enables, because one man can't stand in front of 300 kids and tell them to be quiet unless they want to. So you have to teach. You have to teach the one. And now, you know, Mr. Abel, where are your lesson plans? How the hell are you going to write a lesson plan to teach 300 kids? How you going to do that? A science class with 30 kids? Math class with 40 kids and doing the same lesson with the textbook for the same 20 years. But every year the band has different personalities. So you have to construct an environment. If a freshman comes in and 3 seniors and a junior is standing like this and I'm not even in the room, what do you think the freshman's going to do? He's not going to act like this. If the kid comes in with his hat on, his pants down, and all the big guys, the dogs, the oldest ones in the room, they're standing up like this with a shirt and tie on. What are the others going to do? They're going to come right in. So I'm amazed because, like I said earlier, I never wanted to teach. I hated teaching. I quit teaching twice during my marching band teaching career, twice. So when I left Wine Dance, I quit. And then when I left Mount Vernon, I wanted to quit. Literally quit. But that didn't last too long. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Abel being, you know, a little backstory on him. You know, he was a musician, traveled the world. His band is one of the top, his band over in France was one of the top 5 most sampled bands in the 70s. So when you're, you know, an artist, well, first of all, the real world, any real teacher these days, they're going to tell you that the arts and stuff is most likely just ain't going to work. You know, enjoy your glory days, you know, because once you leave that high school or college, it's over for you. You're going to get a regular job and life's going to suck. But when you have a teacher who has lived through the arts and it worked, you're already encouraged in that sense. And then when people talk about Mr. Abel being a father, there's a lot of the young men in the band that the first time they even went to go buy a tie, let alone wear one, was because that was a requirement. Every time we traveled on a bus, we had to, the men had to be shirt and tie and the women had to be clean. And that was just a requirement. So it was those things that he implemented in, you know, the homes that didn't have all the way the proper training, or the homes that didn't have the father figure in the homes. He implemented that into those lives, and then he reinforced in the other homes like myself, who had a 2-parent home and everything, good parents. He was reinforcing that. So it goes back to the days of when you talk about it takes a village to raise a child. Well, when you went home and you got, you know, yelled and screamed at for doing something wrong, you came to school and you went to band, and Mr. Abel, because he knew everything. For some reason, he knew all the gossip. Like nothing got past him. And he'd pull you aside and be like, yo, let's talk, you know what I mean? Like, and he would tell you about yourself, you know? So it was those things that helped us be more and more disciplined inside the system, because not only were we confident that it would work, and for several of us it did, you know, but we knew that if we trusted him, that we would have a time that would be special enough that we would never forget it.
Talk some more, I like that.
Never forget. You are all wonderful. Those who are performing, those who are here enjoying or criticizing or whatever else. It's just, well, I'm 85 and I made it. I hope maybe I can go back next year for the same gathering, or next week, or whenever you have it. Thank you all so very much.
He's in a